Okay, we got a little bit of a long-winded rant for you today. Plus, we just tried to get some footage to put in the background from Ground War and had an absolute terrible time. I'm talking waiting minutes to get into matches, playing against nothing but Chinese and Brazilian players, getting shot around corners by snipers. I thought it was bad on X-Defiant. It's actually just as bad on Call of Duty, especially on these 22 tick rate servers on Ground War. They never updated any maps. I called it from the beginning. I'm sitting there asking another player in one of my matches where are they playing from to have such high ping. Apparently they're from the high ping dynasty. They're playing from China. Yesterday we got the big announcement for Black Ops 6. One of the things they mentioned was improved engagement systems. That just made me chuckle a little bit because that's essentially the engagement optimized matchmaking and a whole bunch of other stuff that they're going to do to manipulate your experience to try to get you to spend more money in the game. I'm looking forward to seeing how that is and how the game does, how the game plays. I'm not pre-ordering shit until I play a beta. I'm not pre-ordering even with a beta. I want to see how it does. You know, I might get it on day one, but I'm for damn sure not pre-ordering. Before I get started on this talk, can I just mention how bad Ground War is with team balancing? You're either getting stomped or you're stomping the other team, and if your team's a whole bunch of idiots camping with snipers in the spawn protection, you're just going to get DEFCON'd right off the bat. It's like, it feels like I'm literally rolling a dice or pulling a slot machine whether or not I'm going to get a lobby where I actually get to shoot my gun and have fun, or whether I'm just going to run around corners and get sniped by some idiot across the map who doesn't even understand the controller's doing half the work for him while he's laying prone inside a protected area that I can't even go into. After playing X-Defiant for the past week, I'm super annoyed with Call of Duty this morning. It's just like, I'm not even playing in the mode with matchmaking. It's just like the shitty servers, the players, the way the maps are designed to feed dog shit players free kills. All this stuff is just wow. God, the brain rot is insane. They never added more Ground War maps and probably won't any more in the future of COD games because they can't manipulate the matchmaking and engagement systems as much as they can in lower player count modes. Even Ground War on Modern Warfare 3 just recycled maps, and they were lazy even with giving us more of that. They couldn't give us more than 3. It leads me to believe it's for more of a reason than just demand, because there's plenty of people who paid $70 and still play Ground War and deserve some more copy-pasted maps at least. There's just not enough for it to be financially appealing to the company the same way that Warzone constantly makes them more money from free-to-play players who justify buying something from the shop. You simply can't curate matchmaking for 32 vs 32 mode, so you can't protect the bad players who otherwise would get stomped on. I see it all the time on Ground War where people think a cheater's in the lobby because they have 30 or 40 kills. Those are just the guys laying prone. Most players have no map awareness and just sit around waiting on somebody to run into their crosshair. They have no desire to improve or learn what they're doing wrong or could do better. These are ironically the same players with enough spare money to spend in game, but not enough time to notice glaring issues within the game a more diehard video game player may notice. It's in the company's best interest to keep these two type of players separate because this lifts the veil, the illusion that the worst player is under, making them believe they're better than they are, that they're the main character, and if they didn't think this, they'd probably play another game or do something different with their time. Ground War represents a Wild West, a landscape of gaming where you get a random mix, whether that's a bad team and challenging opponents, or a good team and opponents who all hide and spawn and get DEFCON nuked. Activision is unable to predetermine the outcome of matches the way that it can in smaller modes and even in Warzone. In Warzone, they can rig things like the loot that drops for you in boxes or your random teammates if you don't play solo as well, because you're picking from a much larger pool of free-to-play players to populate a lobby, and you can get a good idea of who the top 5 or 10 teams will be based off the way that they put the teams together and everything. This is much easier to do with a free-to-play game population than having to draw from 32 vs 32 players of paid players. This explains why Ground War is hard to find as it's niche already, and you get such a variety of ping between your opponents. You might play against Brazilians or Chinese players or whatever on your US East servers. You're playing people all over the world because it's not a big pool of players compared to free-to-play. Not to mention the mode has received no support since launch, sort of like it seems like they've done with zombies. It sucks because Ground War felt like a cool mode where you could play your own way in somewhat of a sandbox and be creative with weapon class setups and loadouts, and go out into the proverbial battlefield, go for nukes, hit satisfying flanks, snipe, or play however you like. The maps were best on 2019 and have seemingly gotten worse since then, and felt more and more designed to feed free kills to sentinel players sitting stationary in their spawn, or some type of safe space power position designed for them to sit in and get kills that they wouldn't otherwise, but at least there's some counterplays to be had. It feels like Ground War is not popular enough to justify the development time that it would take to even copy and paste maps from a free-to-play mode over to, which speaks volumes to how much the game values its multiplayer player base. We are just somebody to buy the game, and they could care less if we do anything else. Coming back for seasons is just the potential to sell you something. If anything, you cost the company more money when you play the game and don't buy anything. You're just putting stress on the servers at that point, costing them money. Ground War goes against the most recent business model of Call of Duty, which is to flatter players into buying microtransactions, much like a salesman inside a Gucci store or a car dealership, or something looking to appeal to your ego and cause you to act on impulse. It's easier to fool somebody than it is to convince somebody that they've been fooled. If you can plant an idea and make somebody think they came up with it themselves, you can control somebody's actions. If you can cause people to place importance in the idea of being good at a game and tie their identity to it somehow, they become free defenders for a billion-dollar company. There's nothing wrong with being a fan, but being a sycophant is another story. There's a serious lack of nuance and balance in this current day when it comes to being able to hear both sides of an argument, or being able to critically think about things and weigh all the aspects of an issue. Things are usually not as black and white as one would believe, and usually fall somewhere in the middle. Ground War was a Battlefield copycat mode that added less strict matchmaking to a game that began feeling rigged in 2019. There's a reason before Warzone all the content creators were posting Ground War gameplay and nukes. The mode was the most fun offering in 2019 up until Warzone came and paired for the perfect storm during the pandemic. The mode allowed for a lot of freedom of gameplay and creativity with regards to how you approach combat and class creation. It also ironically came during a down period of the Battlefield franchise, with 2042 being a big letdown to many, and many players not wanting to go back to older games like Battlefield 4 to play a modern arcade-style war experience. Ground War introduced me to creators like The Gaming Definition and Nate Gibson, who would drop crazy nuke gameplay videos on YouTube and Twitch that inspired me to get into FPS gaming on keyboard and mouse. The Ground War mode felt like an amazing playground where you could freely express your skill and creativity with how you chose to move around the map from objective to objective and play around them, or understand the spawns and heavily trafficked areas around the map, the often traveled routes players would take where you could expect to find some action. An aspect that even now feels more few and far between due to half the enemy team camping inside a protected spawn, with a timer for any brave soul on the opposing team who dares to try and enter and seek them out. It can be as many as like 12 out of the 32 opponents doing this sometimes. This is not by fault of the players, but the game design itself. This is why something like X-Defiant can be so refreshing, with more predictable maps and less hiding spots and randomness, although having various problems of its own. Manipulation is a big problem in modern gaming, where the game isn't being played, it's doing the playing. I like to call them carnival games because it's like the basketball hoop with the ball just small enough to fit in, but big enough to where if the shot isn't perfect, the ball will bounce out and you will lose and have to purchase another ticket to try again. I'm perfectly fine with failing or losing at something and investing time to improve and get better at something. But when that thing is actively adjusting and adapting to your improvements and adjustments, you're essentially on a never-ending treadmill or hamster wheel where you're effectively wasting your time and energy with your one life. Ask yourself, are you really having fun? What is this doing for you? Does it even matter? I personally find myself taking weeks and even months away from FPS gaming in general in recent times because there's always one thing or another plaguing the genre. It feels like we just want to have fun, and there's either a lack of content or the content we do get is being manipulated in some way. In a constantly changing world where things are being exceedingly catered towards people's feelings and everybody being on an even playing field regardless of skill, natural talent, or experience, Modes like Ground War are a relic of a bygone age, where it mattered for something how much effort you put into learning a skill or honing it. Pretty soon the games are going to move, aim, and shoot for you. I hope you enjoyed this little talk today. Be sure to let me know your thoughts below. Be sure to try to have a great day. I appreciate you and hope to see you again on the next one. Take it easy.